are now tuned in to the Free Play Media Podcast Network.
We are live at Gaslight Lounge right here, St. Louis, Missouri. Big thanks to everyone. We have an actual crowd today, so they can't hear us. They can hear us. We can't hear them. Thank you to everybody for coming out for a quick pop-up podcast. Travis Terrell's here. We do this show a couple times a week, and you can check out our morning radio show on 9:20 a.m., 7 to 10 a.m., Monday through Friday. Today, very special guest. He's at Helium Comedy Club all weekend long, Mr. Jon Lovitz. Jon, thank you so much for joining us. We busted out the gold microphone
clap
for you today.
that we can't hear. There you go.
Give it up for Jon.
We can't even hear it, but you should clap anyway.
Does it feel good? We can't hear
it's
the
like
clap.
a silent movie.
Jon Lovitz joining
weird.
again. We've got early show tomorrow night.
Yep.
Rafe Williams, friend of the show, will do the late show, and then 2 shows Saturday, I believe, Jon. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's right. It's got to be a good point in your career to come in, do a little press, do the early show, work it out. I like that schedule for you. I don't know. I heard that you didn't have to do the late show Friday.
You like it for me?
I do. You don't have to do the late show Friday. I was like, yeah, guy deserves a little break after he flies in.
Well, because I stopped doing it because one is everybody was drunk. And then the second thing is it would be a lot less people. So I said, it's better if I do fewer shows and I'll sell just as many tickets.
Yeah, you knock it
and
out.
condense it. So it works out.
Certainly is. Travis, you are a huge fan of the Critic, as am I. Jon, I'm sure you get this quite a bit as we see Family Guy on its whatever seasons. You have Simpsons for so long. I feel like maybe it got a little bit of a short end of the stick on that. Have you explored, I guess is a question, bringing back the Critic in any way, or just your time spent on it?
No, I would do it again. I tried to get it going again, but Jim Brooks, who's the executive producer, he just said he doesn't think he has enough people to staff it because they're on The Simpsons.
Because they're on
I tried, and they were the production companies were interested in doing it again, but
it would make a ton of sense. I feel like
I know, but Al Jean and Mike Reese. I said, why don't you do it? And everyone wants to do it. And Al goes, well, I don't have time. I'm on The Simpsons, and I'm exclusive to Fox. And then Mike's like, go ahead, do it. I don't care. I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? So they created the show. So
it's
if they don't want to do it, I'm just the voice on it.
It's true, but at the same time, like if you're such a driver, you're kind of synonymous with that. And we're in our 30s. Like we remember we were super big fans of that show. Is it weird to bring up stuff? It was a 3-season run, right? Like to you, that's a blip.
It was on ABC for 7 shows, and then we went to Fox and they aired I think 10 shows.
Do you feel
we did a total of 23?
That's nothing in your long career that you've had so many credits on. But do you feel like maybe it was ahead of its time? Is it just it was a financial thing?
They never could figure out why it was canceled, and it was actually, it held 90% of the second year. It aired after The Simpsons, and it held 90% of the audience. And The Simpsons was like at its peak, so it was a hit. Jim Brooks said to the head of the network, he said, "What are you doing? You're canceling a hit."
That doesn't
Jim
make
goes,
it
"I've never seen anything like it." And the guy just wanted to cancel it.
And 90% in the 90s would be like it would be record setting now.
Well,
right?
today, it had like an 11-1 rating. Nothing has a. But the guy just didn't like it. I don't know. He just canceled it, and they never could figure out why, and never got a reason why.
It's interesting.
And it wasn't the ratings. It was,
I've heard Seth MacFarlane talk about it. It was influencing to him. And again, too, if you're just a voice, but creatively, do you feel like you all kind of put a few things on the map as far as animation goes or styles of entertainment?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think Family Guy is terrific. I don't see the influence, but if he says it's there, it's there. And then, but I spoke to Al Jean, and he goes, no, he took like whole scenes from the Critic. And I go, oh, he did? I don't know. I don't see it. I mean, every show is like, there's a family-based sitcoms. So I mean, they all
Certainly.
have a mother and a father and the kids, and so.
You have the foil and all that good stuff.
But I mean, if Seth MacFarlane says he was influenced by it, then
let's run with
he
that.
was.
Write
Yeah.
the check, Seth.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
But it's flattering. I think his show is hilarious.
He certainly is. He's a very talented person, but so are you. And we got you here. And again, Helium Comedy Club all weekend long. What influenced you, I guess, sitcom-wise? Obviously, you were part of Saturday Night Live, and you have a multitude of talents as far as acting, sketch, improv, stand-up.
And you still do a ton of voiceover work.
Yeah, I did 2 of The Simpsons this year so far.
Mm-hmm. Is it surprising that they're still as strong as they are this far into their...
Oh, sure. They can't believe it. I mean, well, no show's gone. They're the longest running show in the history of television now.
Right. It's
But
literally
30 years.
unprecedented.
They go, they can't believe it.
It's just like them and PBS at this point.
It just doesn't
right?
happen,
It certainly doesn't. Do you have, as far as your talents go and how you spend your time and make your money, I mean, is that easily the best way to earn a living? The
voiceovers?
Oh, yeah. Has to be, right?
Well, it's very easy. You still have to act it out, but
right.
No, but it's easy in terms of acting because you just, you go in and there's a script on a music stand, so you don't have to learn your lines at all, and you can wear whatever you want, and you could wear a bathing suit, and it doesn't matter, and then.
How many times did you pull that?
Well, I go in, from playing tennis and wear my tennis clothes. It doesn't matter. You still have to act it out, though, but. It is very easy. I like that part.
It's a very good part of it.
It's very enjoyable. It's fun. You just have to be funny but I noticed the only way to do it, you can't just like read the line. You have to really act it out.
You physically move. Yeah, you're not just going to read it right off.
Yeah,
the
it helps
paper,
to like if I just go, well, what's new, or you're just standing like this. It doesn't work. You have to you're yelling at someone. You have to really, if you physically get into it, it helps. Your voice, It comes through in your voice,
Yeah, I was trying.
But it's more fun to do it like that.
It is. I was going to say I'm not going to ask you to do it, but if you just yell at Travis
don't
for
yell
being
at me,
late, maybe
no, because I don't know.
You don't like that clip? I was going to say what if it was like Travis was late to something
I don't
and Jon
want
Lovitz as
you're late.
No, relax.
See, he got that. His eyebrow.
What the hell? Buy a watch.
He couldn't have worn a button-down shirt for Jon Lovitz.
Just be early and you won't be late.
So now I have John Witherspoon and Jon Lovitz yelling at me for being late. I appreciate it.
We only do that with comedians named John.
Thank you so much.
I didn't know you were late. You were here when I got here.
You've been on the road for a while now.
Are they laughing? You can't hear anything.
We don't know.
We need to pump it in where you have
movie.
it should be like a silent comedy show.
Well, that's what it seems. It's like the school of the deaf. You just can't hear anything.
Sign
Or
if you're
I'm
enjoying
deaf.
Jon Lovitz, everybody.
Like I've gone deaf.
Yeah.
It's more like a dream. Like I'm imagining those
Travis,
people that are
Travis,
laughing.
let's mess with him. I hear them fine, John. I don't know what your issue is. He's losing it.
You guys you could say anything. I wouldn't know.
They can boo and we wouldn't have any idea.
Rip me.
Favorite Jon Lovitz
Smile
vehicle?
and say I'm a piece of crap. I would have no idea.
So High School High. You did that movie.
You're late.
Raise your hand if you enjoyed High School High in the 90s. Look at this. We've got a participating audience.
3 out of 50. That's why I'm doing stand-up.
I was going to ask that. How that you've been doing it for quite some time? How has it changed, like now, as to when you were coming up in the game? As far as just touring, being on the road,
Well, I started doing it about 15 years ago. So
yeah, I think
I don't think it's any different.
Yeah.
Though, I got on Saturday Night Live and I tried to do stand-up. Like in my college dorm, I would do Lenny Bruce and Woody Allen's routines, and then I'd memorize them and learn them and perform. They'd have a talent night in my dorm. You could do anything, so I'll try that. And then right after college, I went to UC Irvine, University of California, Irvine. I wanted to be a stand-up. I go, that's a good way to break into show business, but this guy teaching this workshop said they weren't hiring stand-ups for sitcoms. And I believed him.
He was ahead of the game. He knew what he was talking about.
Well, they were hiring him. That's all they were hiring. But I believed him. But anyway, I started doing it about 15 years ago because the jobs were drying up. And I said to my agent and manager, can you get me work? I said, I'm not broke, but I'm going to run out of money in 5 years because I was living really nice. And they said, why don't you sell your house? So I thought, I have a better idea. I'll learn how to be a stand-up and then fire both of them. That's what I did. I mean, they just gave up on me. I was so mad that they said that because one was building a mansion and one had bought one on the street above me. And I go, oh, so you're moving up and I'm moving down. Why don't I sell my house? Okay, thanks. All right. Now they, I never said that. I go, the hell you didn't. Liars.
They bring out the devil costume, like, hey, it's your friend, John.
That's no, my manager goes, you had a good run. I go, 7 years ago. I go, you're done? So you're done, right? Okay, good. Good to know.
Good. I'm glad you fired them. That's good. I mean, again, you'll have sold out shows.
Well, 6 months later, they came on the set of Bench Warmers. Mm-hmm. No, wait, was it? Yeah, I think it was Bench Warmers to visit David Spade and. Well, we had the same. Well,
you go in for the handshake and they walk right by
David
you.
Spade and Adam Sandler and Chris Farley, my agent, because of me, they used my name to get them. So they come on the set, and my manager goes, "Hey, John, notice anything different?" So I'd left like 6 months before. He goes, "Notice anything different?" I went, "Yeah, I'm working." And then my agent goes, "Oh, you mean the job you would have gotten anyway because of Adam Sandler?" I go, "Yeah, well then what would I have needed you for?" Any other 10%. Anything else? Yeah.
Did you see that? So coming up around Sandler, I mean, obviously Sandler had his run with, I guess MTV was a big launching pad for him. We talked about The Simpsons being unprecedented.
Well, and Adam, I saw Adam before he was famous at the Improv in Hollywood. And all these stand-ups, I was just there watching the stand-ups, and they're all like beginning stand-ups, they tend to, well, they don't, they're starting, so they don't know what they're doing, so they try to act like a stand-up, so they'll talk really, really loud and yell in the mic and really fast, and they're not really saying anything, but it kind of gives you a headache. And then Adam got up, and it was almost like he was making fun of them. He was speaking so quiet and not trying and just saying the most ridiculous stuff. So I went up to him and I said, "You're hilarious." So I met him, and then when I left SNL, they hired him to replace me, so I went by the club and I said, "Hey, I heard you at the show. I'm going to tell you how it works." He said, "All right." So he sat down for about an hour, and I explained to him the whole show and how it works. And then ever since then, he's just been great to me and put me in a lot of his movies. And he's been great to me.
It feels like he's got a really tight-knit group of people.
Well, he's the kind of guy, like, if you're nice to him once, he'll be nice to you the rest of your life.
That's awesome.
But if you rip him once, you're dead. No, and I'm also like that. Like, you go against me, like, for no reason, you're like, oh, okay, well, now I'll...
Dead to me.
Crush.
I'd just like to remind you how much
Times
we love
10.
The Critic. We love all your work. We love SNL. You're such a great interview. You're such a good stand-up.
You're coming back to life.
You're such a good stand-up.
What do you say to someone, though, like an Adam Sandler coming up, like as you're leaving SNL? What type of advice could you give that would prepare somebody for entering
Lorne's world,
yeah,
man.
Lorne's world, man. That's from what we hear from
Well, you learn a lot. I mean... The main thing, I told one guy who got the show, and he didn't take my advice, and he lasted a year.
Who was that?
I don't want to say, but he didn't. He asked for my advice, and I told him what to do, and he didn't do it. So.
Coming in here talking bad about David Koechner. What are you thinking, Trey?
No, not Dave. But I said, what I learned was, see, they have a read through on Wednesday from like 3 to 5, and they pick 30 to 40. The 30 to 40 sketches are submitted. They'll produce 14 of them, and then they cut 6 after dress rehearsal. So only 8 sketches make it on air. So I said, you're better off, instead of writing, like, I used to write, my first year, write 3 sketches a night. I was getting everything on. But after a while,
did you have a writer that you teamed up? Like, was there a writer that would champion you, or was it just you were bringing in great material?
I'd have an idea, and then I'd write it. Well, the liar character, I did it myself the first time, and then Lauren said, "Why don't you write it with A. Whitney Brown?" Which was great, because I didn't know what to do after that. So Whitney really helped me expand it. After the first time, I gave him credit, like 50-50 was the two of us. Right. And then, or Al Franken would have an idea, and he'd write, like, Hanukkah Harry, or one time, I did Match the Thespian, but I'd write it with somebody. Or Robert Smigel had an idea for one, where I was like the Santa Claus and Macy's. It was really funny. So we wrote that together, but that was his idea for that sketch. But the character was my idea. See, it's a combination. So I said, you're better off, though, just writing one sketch a week, just one sketch on Tuesday night, and make that one sketch great. And then you have the chance of getting it on. Because you're not going to get 3 sketches on. Right. Not now, anyway. I mean, to us, there was only 8 people, but now there's like 16, in the cast.
Yeah.
So you're better off just getting one sketch and just focus on that and make that one so it gets on the air. That's the way to do it.
Did anybody do that for you?
What?
Shepherd you into Saturday Night Live?
I don't know what you mean.
So you sat Sandler down and said, listen, here's the playbook. This is what you have to do. This will make things happen.
Did anyone tell me how the show worked?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Do you think that?
No, I learned.
It seemed to work out okay for you. Yeah.
Well, I just worked my butt off. I mean, normally I was in the Groundlings Theater, which is an improv group. You know, it's great. And so we would take 2 weeks to write a sketch.
Right.
I was writing 3 a night. I was just working my butt off. I mean, it was exhausting.
Certainly was.
In that room, are you trying to win over the other comedians, or you're specifically trying to win over Lauren, or it's a combination of both?
Well, it's not trying to win over Lauren. It's just that you just be funny the way you're funny, and then when they have a meeting on a Monday, and everyone's in Lauren's office, and the host is there. He goes, "What are your ideas?" And then you quickly learn that meeting is more. It's just really for show for the host. And you don't want to give away the joke of your sketch in that meeting because everybody has a great short-term memory. So when we read the sketches on Wednesday, everybody, as soon as the joke comes up, they remember it from Monday and they already heard it, so they don't laugh. So you learn to just go, I'm writing a sketch about a man and a fish, and it'll be funny Wednesday. You know, you make them laugh like that, and you don't want to give it away.
Okay.
And then you don't even have to write that. That's what I would do. I wouldn't say what I'm writing. Or I go, I'm working on a master thespian sketch, and
then you bring the good stuff Wednesday.
And I think it'll really, it'll be good enough, hopefully, to be. You make some joke, but you got to watch it and.
You got to play the game right. Whenever you,
but then at read through, you got to sell it. That's because you sit around. It's like
talented
people. Or 4 tables. They're really big, tables,
sure.
And they push them together. So like Lauren's at the head of the table, and the host is next to him, and then I'd always be sitting next to the host. I don't know why. That's where they put me. And then
were there seating assignments?
Danny was next to me. Yeah, we had the same seats. You go, you sit here, and the whole cast would be around the tables, and then the writers are in the room on chairs, and every department is in the room. The music, the set department is so it's about 100 people in this one room and stuff. And so you're trying to make that room laugh. So you have to really. Well, you don't have to talk loud, but I would act it all full out like I was doing. Like it was a finished thing.
You have to
sell it. Yeah, you got to sell it because you want to make them laugh. And then if you read a piece and it got a huge laughs, and the room would burst into applause, which doesn't happen a lot, they go, yeah, you go, okay, that's on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they don't want to give you too much credit because they have one coming down the pipe.
There's 30 to 40 sketches, and a lot of them are just bad.
With that much material, I would assume so.
Well, bad. A lot of them suck. I mean, they're just not good. They're just not. And the whole room's quiet. But sometimes I'd write a sketch, and Lauren would just read through this. He was mad at me. He'd read through the stage directions really fast. He saw that I read it, and then just throw it down. And I'd look at him and I go, it's funny. That didn't help.
So he allowed for a little bit of sparring among creative ideas.
No, I don't think he liked when I did that.
What was your audition like? When you met up with it, does he do a one-on-one with you? Do you go in front of the cold, awkward room?
Well, it's different now. I had a lot of meetings, but first I met. It's crazy how I got it because I was in the Groundlings. I'd gotten it in September of '84. Then January of '85, we did a new show, and I was doing my liar character in it. And then I get a call in March, and they say I'm going on the Tonight Show doing the liar, and I go, what are you talking about? And they said, the guy from The Tonight Show, Jim McCauley, was there.
Oh, wow.
And he picked 3 sketches to go on The Tonight Show, and I was in 2 of them. And I just got in the company. I couldn't believe it.
Right.
3 months later, after the new show opened. So anyway, I did that, and I got an agent. And then Mage said, what about Saturday Night Live? I said, oh, yeah, right. He goes, no, I'm serious. I said, I have a better idea. Why don't I land on Pluto? He goes, no, I'm serious. I started yelling at him. I go, will you just shut up? You're ridiculous.
Right.
I'm not going to be on Saturday Night Live. I go,
right.
What are you talking about? Because I had one job. 3 years before for 2 weeks. That was it.
What was that job?
It was a show, The Paper Chase, based on the movie. It was a cable show. But it was a good show, but I'd done 2 of them and then nothing after that. So, but anyway, I started getting auditions and I got a movie with Charles Groden and he really liked me. And in the meantime, they submitted me to Saturday Night Live. And Lorraine Newman, who was in the original cast, saw me do this play the summer before at the Groundlings. And she'd befriended me, so she recommended me to Lorne. And then Charles Groden recommended me to Lorne. Because we were on Catalina Island doing this movie, and I had to go meet Lorne. And Charles Groden liked me, and I only had one scene in the movie, but he goes, "No, let's put John in more and more." He really
nice.
So I didn't really know him at all, and he called Lorne and said, "Hey, can you meet with this kid Friday? You take a good hard look at him." He's like, "Great." And the director told me he said all that, and I go, "He did?" And so then I went and met. Oh, wait a minute, I missed a step. So I got this Tonight Show. So then the agent submits me. This is how crazy it is. So now the big story was, it was in all the newspapers. Lorne Michaels coming back to SNL.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're looking for people all over. It was like the Miss America contest in Canada and America. So this guy comes. I meet with this guy, Fred, and he's in charge of comedy casting at NBC. And he's Fred Weissman. And he goes, "Well, John, I don't know anything about comedy. I'm a dentist." But I got the job.
Good for Fred.
Yeah, I'm serious.
Yeah, good
I'm
for
a
Dr.
dentist.
Fred. Yeah.
So I asked Jim McCauley, who books. I said, "How did you hear of me?" He goes, "Well, I asked Jim McCauley, who books the Tonight Show, who's funny." And he said he goes, "Jon Lovitz is the best sketch comedian in town." And I went, "He said that?" Because I'm thinking of like Phil Hartman, who's been there for years, and Tim Stack. They're like the king of the Groundlings. I was just new. Like me. So then. But anyway, I met Fred, and he liked me. And then he set up a meeting, and I went, Al Franken and Tom Davis, who passed away, God rest his soul, they were producing the show that year. So I met with them at NBC. So I'm talking to them, and I go, "Well, I was in the Groundlings," and they're just staring at me. And I went, "Well, I'll do some of my characters." So I started doing them, and they were laughing. And then the next one was, we had an industry night at the Groundlings. So Al came, and I was doing Master Thespian sketch.
Right.
And nobody was laughing except for Al. Like nobody. But I could hear, he had a very distinctive laugh, and he was really laughing. And he'd always laugh at this. I said, "I remember you coming and no one's laughing but you." And I thought, thank God that guy from Saturday Night Live is laughing.
On stage,
and then the next step was, I got
mid-performance.
this movie in Catalina. In the meantime, Lorne Michaels and Charles Groden recommended me. And then, so I left Catalina Island on Friday to meet with Lorne at the Beverly Hills Hotel. And I remember thinking, this is that world I heard about. Like, we drove up, my agent drove me to the hotel, and all of a sudden Michael Caine walks across, and I go, "Oh, this is that world where they all live." Because that's why I said, "Are you crazy?" Because Saturday Night Live, it was just another world, like where those people exist.
Well, and then too, this was one of 3 entertainment outlets at the time. I mean, there were much fewer choices for entertainment.
4 channels.
Yeah.
No, 3 channels.
At the time, yeah.
Yeah, networks, the ABC, CBS, and NBC. That was it. So I met Lorne, and after about 45 minutes, he goes, "Well, how old are you?" And I said, 28. And he goes, or 27. He goes, Billy Murray was 27. So I thought, do I have it? It was a weird thing to say. And I went, well, maybe I... Or I just turned 28. I was 28. I just turned 28. So, and then I go back to Catalina, and I finish the movie on a Tuesday, and I land back on Wednesday, and off the boat in San Pedro. My agent goes, "They're flying to New York." I go, "What?" He goes, "You're in the final group." So I flew to New York, and I didn't know anybody. I sat next to Dennis Miller, and Damon Wayans was on the plane, and the other people from L.A., that's who they picked, and then the women were, so Downtown Julie Brown, she sang "The Prom Queen's Got a Gun," she had a big hit, and Jennifer Tilly, and Pam Madison.
Oh, wow.
Who also
Thank God this
passed away.
plane made it.
And Pam
That would have been bad for American entertainment.
Pam should have got it. I mean, she was great.
Really?
I don't know how she didn't get it, but she should have. But anyway, so we all go. And the funny thing is, I remember Dennis Miller had a hat, and I thought he was bald, and I don't know. I go, this guy must be bald. And Damon has all his hair. It turns out Dennis had his hair, and Damon was bald. That's the stuff you remember. And then Dennis goes, "What do you do?" I go, "I do this liar character." And Dennis goes, Oh, he says, yeah. I thought, okay, this guy doesn't have a chance in hell. Liar.
He said 3 words you didn't understand and moved on.
And then so then they flew us, and then you talk about a big room with everyone staring. So it's Minskoff a theater in New York, so it's called Minskoff Rehearsal. So it's this huge room. So they say to us, "Oh, you're going to audition, and they probably won't laugh." And I said to Fred, I'd started trying to write some stand-up routine. I just
Dr.
at
Fred.
the Groundlings, Dr. Fred Weissman, the dentist. Should I do my stand-up? He goes, "No, because you're competing against professional stand-ups." She's like, "Don't do it." Okay. And he was for me, he was trying to help me.
Yeah.
So they said they probably won't laugh much. So we get to the audition, and there's like, instead of 10 guys, there's 9.
Right.
One guy didn't show up. He was too freaked out. So Wayne's is like, if I get it, I get it. I don't. I don't care. It's not that big a deal. So he goes in the room. He comes out 15 minutes later. He's black. He comes out, he's white. Pale, sweating. His
Not as cool as he thought.
His eyes are glazed over.
Yeah.
It's like he just went into the war and came out and like, what happened? He was like shell-shocked. And I go, my God, what happened to you? What happened? He's just like, So then I went in, and then they're just talking, and I'm standing there for like 5 minutes, and I'm like, so finally I clap my hands, I go, okay, hello, let's go. You ready? I'm just standing there. Like,
Perfect.
So I did my characters, and they were laughing, and it was about 4 minutes. And then Lawrence says, well, do you have anything else? And I was like, oh, well. I go, okay, well, here's what I would do if, say, like between sketches. And so I figured I'd do my stand-up because he wanted more. So I started doing it, and like no one's laughing.
Oh, boy.
And then in my head, I'm bombing, and in my head, for some reason, I'm like, keep going. So I did the whole thing. No one laughed. I go, okay, thanks. So I leave the room. Now I look like Damon. I'm sweating. My eyes are glazed over.
Understood.
And I understood why. Yeah, because you felt like I blew it. I just blew the biggest opportunity in my career. And I was so desperate. So then later that day, Pam Madison says, John, I'm going to St. Patrick's Cathedral to light a candle to pray I get the show. Do you want to come with me? I go, I'm Jewish. And I go, yes, I'll come with you. I'm like, yes, anything. I go, let's do it. So I light a candle. I'm like, Jesus, I know I'm Jewish, but if you get me this show, I'll convert. I'll believe in you. Just come on. Just, you're Jewish too. Like, come on, cut a brother a break. So anyway, so then the next day, they go, we're putting you on tape.
Oh, wow.
So like you, I'm always late. So this time I was early, though.
Perfect.
I was early. It was supposed to be there 4:30. I got there at 4:20, and then I'm waiting in this room, and I'm waiting, and I'm nervous as hell. And it was like 4 hours before I got put on tape. So I was like nervous and walking around. Then I started getting sleepy after about an hour, an hour and a half, and I'm like, and then I turned the TV on, and Humphrey Bogart's on, so I watched that, and then I went into the studio where they're shooting it, and I saw Dennis Miller on camera, and he's goofing around. He's really loose. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So then Randy Quaid was already cast. So anyway, I'd met him once before, so I said, hey, I had this other thing I do. I did it for him. He goes, well, that's funny. So then finally it's my turn after 4 hours of waiting. So I go in the studio. It's about 8:30. So Lauren goes, you want to do your liar character? I go, well, I already did that yesterday. He goes, yeah, that's true. He goes, well, what about this? So I did some stuff, and he goes, let's see Randy next to you. So Randy stands next to me, and Randy goes, why don't you do that piece about your grandmother? Like I'd done it for him in the hallway. Right. So what it was Randy's about 6'4",
yeah,
and he was on my left. So when I did the sketch in the Groundlings, I did it with Tim Stack, who's also 6'4", and he'd be on my left. And it was two soldiers. Tim had already done the piece, and we wrote I got in the company, we were friends, so he goes, let's write you a monologue, and then you can be in the sketch with me. So I wrote this monologue, where we wrote it together. Sure. So it was about how we got to the front lines. And it was a ridiculous story, In the World War I, we're in the trenches. How'd you end up here, So I started doing it, and I go, well, how did I end up here? I go, what the hell was it? I don't know. I go,
There's a lot.
Something like that. I forget. I go, how did I end up in the war? I go, well, a uniform came in the mail one day. No, a box came in the mail one day. Wrapped inside was a uniform with my name on it. Grandma got to it first. She didn't want to lose the only man who'd rub her feet. So she put it on, took my place. Nobody knew. You see, Captain, that uniform fit her like a glove. Right after you added about 10 yards of spandex material. Grandma's what you call a hefty cow. Oh, she liked to eat. In fact, she was quite the chowhound. Oh, who am I kidding? She was a fat pig. Anyway, when her platoon boat hit the beach, the old beef cow rolled off the deck, got stuck under a barbed wire fence. And I lost my old grandmother. The army, they sent for me again, and now I'm here. Oh, my God. So I did a quick version. But anyway, when I said the thing, when I looked at him, I go, you see, Captain? And I looked up at him, right? So when I did that in the audition, in my mind, I went, oh, he's like Tim. Like tall like Tim. Right. So I did a double take. So I went, you see, Captain? And then I looked again, I went, oh. I wasn't trying to be funny. Anyway, that move, Al Franken thought that was the funniest thing ever.
So that helped sell it.
That's got me the job, that move.
So that's what you do, kids.
And then I got the show. And then Al said, I go, how did I get the show? He goes, well, you know, you were everything we weren't looking for in one person. I go, oh, thanks. I go, well, how did I get it? Well, you were funny. I was everything they weren't. Now Lauren says he said that. I don't know who said it. It's like, okay, well, who wants to take credit for the insult? You're everything we weren't looking for in one person, but you were funny.
That's perfect.
So I said, Al, what do you mean? He goes, well, we wanted like a leading man, like a Tom Hanks type. I go, well.
Oh, well.
You know, he still laughs about that. I go, thank you, Al. It's a big compliment.
Absolutely. Do you still talk to Al?
Yeah. And then, yeah, I ran into him before he had to resign.
Do you think he was fairly treated during
No.
that? I don't either.
He didn't do anything. I've known him forever. I'm telling you, he didn't do anything. And Al Franken, all he cares about is his family and his work.
Right.
So at Saturday Night Live, it was like his family and the show. Right. And that's it. So when he was a senator, it's like all he cared about is his family and being a great senator. That's all he cared about. And all he wanted to do was help people. And they railroaded him out of there because they were going to, you know, the Republicans wanted that other guy more. So the Democrats were like, okay, if we get rid of Al, then if this other guy gets in, we say, well, we got rid of Al, so you got to get rid of this guy. And of course, the Republicans would have said, no, we don't. Idiots. I mean, they're just stupid, these people. They're morons.
It's a weird machine to be a part of.
Al says he didn't do it, he didn't do it. So he took a picture. I have pictures of me like that. Everyone does. You know, you're goofing around, some girls are friends, you're like, ooh, you know. It's just stupid. He wasn't touching her. He didn't do anything. And 3 years later, they meet again, the girl, and she loves him and hugs him and this, you know. She's on stage grabbing some guy's butt. I mean, you know, yeah, she was offended.
It seemed odd to me. I get it, why people would...
It was a bunch of crap.
No, but the good part about that, if there is a good part about this...
He might run again. That's what I was
going to say. There is a bit of a wash, clean cycle now because things are so cyclical.
Well, the people in Minnesota were not happy that he was kicked out. They liked him.
Were you surprised that he achieved what he did? I mean, that's a big deal to go from, hey, you're SNL and then you're
Senator Al Franken. Yeah, like me being a senator. You're like, huh? Jon Lovitz is a senator. It's crazy.
Has the industry changed?
I mean, but he's super smart. He went to has the industry
as far as like, you know, as far as the content, as far as being able the things that even SNL did in the early days, even in the early part of the 90s, as far as being able to put together that same type of content now. Has the industry had to adjust because of sensibilities over time? Is that the natural evolution of the business? But it feels like things that were suitable and funny then now would probably not get much play and probably get boycotted now.
Oh, yeah, because everyone's like, doesn't want to hurt everybody's feelings, and which is good, but I do a bit of my act. They change words, but they have substitute words, but they don't change the meaning of the word, so it doesn't work, you know.
Right.
Or another example, like plus, you know, you go, oh, you're not fat, you're plus size. Okay, that's better. I say, yeah, go to your wife. She goes, does this dress make me look fat? No, makes you look plus size. Why? What do you mean? Means you're fat. You know, I mean, what are you talking about? And why do you want to compliment a woman and say, no, you're perfectly healthy, you're just plus size. You're 100 pounds overweight, you're beautiful, you'll die at 40 from a heart attack, but in the meantime, enjoy your life. You know, what do you... You're telling people to stay unhealthy. It's not a good thing.
This is a very upsetting time. Travis has been calling me plus size for like 2 years now.
Well,
so
my dad's a doctor. I have to lose weight. You tell you can say
man.
that size, but
Sure.
you're going to have a heart attack and die.
It's out later.
You won't live long. I mean, it's just a fact.
Yeah, it's certainly.
That's not being mean. It's
Not
trying to
at
make
all.
you live, like not die.
We're a fat ass.
John likes me.
Well, you don't
I
want
can
to
tell he wants
insult
me to
someone
live.
by telling him, well, what would you say? You've got a giant, tumor the size of a basketball on your neck. My God, that mole is gorgeous. Think I should get it taken out? No. Makes your
Nice
head
accent.
tilt in the most attractive way.
It's the perfect accent to your cheekbones,
Just a
certainly.
tumor.
So,
Leave it.
So we won't keep you too much longer.
don't
I'm
mean
sure you have a
you.
busy day. Yeah, exactly. Come on. Raise your hand if you're having a
women
good time.
here are thin.
At Gaslight. Most of
yeah,
them
they're-
are having a good time. That's a good thing.
No, you don't make fun of somebody
No.
for being overweight, but you don't tell them it's perfectly healthy.
Right. It's
Come
more of a
on.
math problem than an
Oh, 100
editorial
pounds
thing.
overweight. I wouldn't change a thing.
There are consequences
How are
to
your
that.
knees? Arthritis. That's terrific.
33 years old.
How are your feet? Swollen. They hurt all the day. Well, why lose weight? Well, no point in that.
No.
How are your bones? Crumbling. How's your hip? I'm going to have to get it replaced. Well, big deal. In the meantime, you're gorgeous.
Before we get you out of here, got to remind everybody, comedy at Lou Fest this year, over 60,000 people over 2 days. Last laugh, it's the first ever comedy stage and tent at Lou Fest. We're bringing it to you. Our friends at By Jack are bringing it to you. Taylor Tomlinson, Mia Jackson, Matt Rife, all headlining 10 local comics. Very excited that September 8th and 9th in Forest Park.
Yeah,
so make
great.
sure you check
What does
that
it have
out.
to do with me?
Oh, yeah, well, that's a good point. And John is going to be at Helium all weekend long. You can go see him. We're going to make it out to the early show Friday, and then Saturday, a couple shows.
You're going to judge me.
I'm going to hold your dog in the second row and just glare at you the entire time. Does the dog help on the road? Does he have any duties or what's? I think it's
keeps
cool.
me company. It's great.
Of course, yeah.
I'll tell you, you said a sketch we couldn't do anymore.
Okay.
We did it. Al Franken came with this sketch. It was really funny. And I guarantee you couldn't do it today. So it was, anyway, so Steve Guttenberg was the host.
Now you're
So
talking. You got my
we're
attention.
doing this
Boy.
sketch
You got my
where
attention.
I'm in his apartment and I'm blind. So he's doing this really high voice and he's pretending to be a woman. So he goes, oh, you're really, I go, well, let's get into bed. Okay, but I'm blind, right? So we get into bed and the lights go out and then you hear me go, oh, man, oh, God, Jesus, what the hell? So the lights come back, he goes, I'm really sorry. I go, what's wrong with you? I go, well, I really like you. I go, you're pretending to be a woman? What's wrong with you? I'm really sorry. Well, let's just go back to bed. All right. So we get back into bed. He goes, I'll just sleep over here. I go, okay, fine. I'll leave you alone. Okay, all right, good night. So the lights go out, and then you hear me go, oh, God, what? He goes, I'm sorry. I go, what's wrong? Stop it. Doing it again. So it happened like 3 times. So then at the end of the sketch, he goes, I'm Steve Guttenberg, and I'm Jon Lovitz. And the point of that sketch was, well, you really shouldn't do that. You shouldn't pretend to be a woman and the guy's blind. It's just the wrong thing to do. Please don't do that.
I think that still works.
I thought it was a funny. You couldn't do that.
I like
now.
that you're still
Too many people would be offended, but it's hilarious.
But you're still okay. I think the best part about that, you're still like, well, we can just go to sleep, even though you're not anything like you said you were.
Well, my shows, I say everything. I'm not politically correct, and I don't like a show. I go, well, it's irony. I can't change my sense of humor,
right?
And I'm not even edgy, but because they keep saying you can't say this, you can't say this. See, the problem with the comedian, like me anyway, if you go, you can't say that, I'm like, well, now I have to, like times 10.
It's like, yeah, it's fed into the machine and it's coming back out.
Well. I mean, it's the antithesis of comedy. You have to watch what you say. And people look great. Like that just kills comedy. It's like, it's a club. It's like, you can say whatever you want. People, I don't like what you said. You go, well, then you get up on stage and you do your act. You can say whatever you want.
Right.
That's a good way to put it.
Well, it's true. So they make comedians apologize for jokes. I think that's the worst.
It's strange, too, whenever that vertical gets, I guess, encroached by folks that are trying to apply the same standards as they would if you were in a business meeting to a comedy show.
Well, it's like saying, well, maybe this is a bad analogy, but like, you're in the Olympics and you're a swimmer, right? So you're in your Speedo, and then someone
Steve
goes, you
Gutenberg
shouldn't
walks
wear a
in.
Speedo, so you need to be in a suit. You go, well, I'm at a swimming event, you idiot. I'm not in a meeting.
Point.
Well, it's like that.
Yeah.
You go at a comedy club. You shouldn't talk like that. You should speak like we do, outside of a club when you meet a stranger and you don't know who they are. It's freedom of speech. And also, not everything's funny to everybody, so you can't change your act so you hopefully don't offend someone. And Jimmy Breslin was a great New York columnist, and he'd hosted the show, and about a year later, I ran into him. Mm-hmm. And he said, this is like 30 years ago, and he goes, are you doing stand-up? I go, well, I don't know. I'm afraid. I get nervous. He goes, oh, bullshit. And he goes, come on, why aren't you doing it? I go, well, what if I say something, and then there's two old women in the audience, like my age of my grandmothers, and they get offended, and I offend these two old ladies. And he said, look, if I'm coming to see your show, I want to hear what you have to say. I don't want you to change your act because of who's in the audience.
Right. And
I never forgot that. And so that's what I do, And most comics don't do that. They're not going to change it.
I agree. And
you can't, because anything you say, someone might get offended, and what are you going to do? Then you'd have to. You don't know who's coming to the show.
Right.
And one comic, it's on YouTube. He's great. He goes, "Oh, you're offended." He goes, "So what?"
That's the way to handle it.
Well, you're offended. Okay, now what?
Well, I think if you make
I don't like what you said. Well, all right.
Move along. I think if you make your way from your house to the comedy club to see Jon Lovitz, you kind of know the score anyway, right?
I was in college, and I lived in the fine arts dorm, and everybody was an artist. So, and everybody had a different background. Like I was Jewish, and Richard and Buck were black, and Leonard was from Mexico, and Peter's Asian, and we're all friends. We'd all have dinner together. We're like 18, and we would just rip each other and say all the stuff you're not supposed to say. But we're friends, so we're like crying, laughing because it's ridiculous. None of us believed in it.
Right.
It's just people are people, and we go, yeah, you're an actor, I'm an artist, you're this, and we're starting our lives. Who cares? And that's kind of how I am on stage. It's like I tease everybody, like that, and then, people laugh. And then you get to their group, and they're like real quiet. And I'm like, oh, but you laughed at the Jew jokes, And then they can't say anything. They go, oh, yeah, well, we did. I go, oh, yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Well, I think people are going to really enjoy it. We'll get you out of here. Again,
I did some Nazi jokes in Oregon.
Did you?
They didn't laugh.
Why?
I don't know, but that was scary. So I said, oh, sorry,
they felt a little close to it.
Didn't offend you. Then I was going like, hi, good to see you. Hi, you all right?
We need to have a talk with that Oregon club.
Yeah.
What's happening over there? Well, I think people will enjoy that tonight. What else? Anything you want to promote while you're here? Obviously, the Helium shows. Any projects coming up that we need to keep an eye out for? I know you're super busy.
There's a independent movie coming out in October called Chasing the Blues, which is, I have a small part. Looks like I'm the lead, but I'm not. But that's how they promote it.
You won't turn that down, though, right?
Well, I don't, because I'm better known than the other people in it, so they go, so he's the guy, and I like 3 scenes. But I don't know. I don't.
None
like,
of you heard
I don't
that.
like when they do that, But it's a fun movie. It's about, and it seems real, but it's about these two guys that collect records, and they hear about this really rare record that's supposed to be a myth, and some woman has this big record collection, and they go and they find this record, so they're each trying to get it, and anyway, it's the whole drama about it, and the record. The story is this guy murdered his girlfriend, and 3 weeks later he recorded this song. And when they played it back, the guy could hear the girl screaming in his mind, and the other people couldn't, but he could. And he ended up like killing himself. And they go, the myth is if you're a bad person and you listen to this record, you'll hear the screams, and it was a myth. But then they go, here it is, And anyway, it sounds real, like a myth, but urban myth. But it's not. But it's a fun movie. It's good.
Anybody else we would know in it? They're not cover worthy if we do know them.
Steve Gutenberg's in it.
Good.
I'm in it. Grant Rosenmeyer. He's one of the kids in. He's been acting since he's a kid. They're all really good actors. Really good.
That's exciting.
I play a Southern lawyer, a real scumbag, and then I'm doing a game show, Funny You Should Ask, which is like Hollywood Squares, but I do it all. It's 6 comics, and they ask us questions, awesome. True or false, and then it's really a setup for a joke,
right?
And we just tell jokes and go true, Like they had it when they go, well, that was they go, John, true or John Kelly's the host. He's a great guy. He goes, John, true or false? A pod of female whales are referred to as cows. I'm like, they prefer the term plus sized, and it's just dumb jokes like that.
You just basically
and it turns out they don't prefer the term plus size because they know it means fat.
Jon Lovitz. Go see him at Helium Comedy Club all weekend long. John, seriously, thank you so much. It was a real pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Round of applause.
Yeah, real quick for yourselves. Look at this.
Thank you for applauding.
Thank you.
That's right.
It just sounds like silence.
Go see John at Helium. Thank you to everybody. Comedy for us tonight as well. Southtown Pub tomorrow. What do we have? Anything else coming up we need to let people know about?
Not as of yet. Just
Not
make sure
as of yet.
Fest.
That's right. Lou Fest, all that good stuff. Thanks to everybody for coming out. St. Louis Counseling Services here. Give them some love as well. Thank you, John. Thanks,
Really
everybody.
Appreciate it.